Hey, Zach Yoshioka here. You're watching RockstarDreams.com.
So you built Powerline Management and KNZ Entertainment from the ground up. Can you walk us through how you got your start in the local AZ music scene and how you expanded your brand since?
Yeah. My partner Kyle and I, we were touring for a long time, and it basically kind of led into the fact that there was a lot more success in business on the other side of the coin rather than being on the touring side. So Kyle hits me up one day and he's like, "Hey, would you like to start a company with me? Would you like to throw concerts and manage bands? We're just going to do all these things." And at the time, he was only 20 years old and I was like 25, and I was like, "Yeah, right, dude, whatever, like you're just some crazy kid." But somehow he convinced me to stop touring, and then we started just throwing concerts and managing bands, and 8 years, almost 9 years later now, here we are. So it just became one of these things where we tried to accommodate the bands the way we wanted to be accommodated when we were touring. So I think with that philosophy and then taking care of the patrons and whatnot really helped us do what we wanted to do.
You have a well-rounded knack for discovering and developing talent. You've worked with bands like Asking Alexandria and I Set to Kill and have some exciting up-and-comers on your roster. Can you provide some insights into what goes into your evaluation process when you want to work with another artist or band?
We just kind of look for what I call the it factor. A band has to have the right look, a perfect live show where they can actually play their instruments and whatnot, and then where it's super engaging. And then also on top of that, most importantly, they have to have songs that make the hair on people's arms stand up. So it's not an easy formula to find. Sometimes it takes some development to get the artist to get there, but that's basically what I look for in the quote unquote the it factor.
So obviously, I've been interviewing these other artists today who are part of this Whitney Payton music video. So which leads me to this question: how did you discover Whitney Payton?
I had already kind of heard of her. I come from the Cottonmouth Kings, ICP world originally when I was in video years ago, and so I've seen the name pop up. I was definitely aware of who she was, and we actually did this Franzilla show over at Joe's Grotto, and she was one of the openers, and I caught a couple of the songs and I was like, man, this is really good. This is really engaging. She's got the right look. The crowd loves her, and she was playing in between two metalcore bands, which told me that she had the ability to capture people's attention even in a demographic where she wasn't used to playing in. So a few days later, me and a booking agent at TKO named Alex Gilbert and I, who work on a bunch of other bands together like I Set to Kill and Run to Cover and From First to Last, and we were at her Facebook page just talking about her, and we realized there was no manager, there was no agent, and she was completely DIY. So we reached out to her, and after some convincing and whatnot, she got on board with us, and here we are. We threw her on this Asking Alexandria show earlier in December, and she just went out and just smashed the crowd in half. And then we had her on the Stevie Stone show, and we actually just got her a tour with Cottonmouth Kings for January, and we're shooting a music video here for a rock remix.
So when you discover an emerging artist like this, what are your steps? What are the steps for you in development and expanding their fan base?
I think the key that I found that really will make an artist develop fast is by playing shows in front of the right demographics and just getting in front of audience live. I mean, no one can ever take a live show away from you. You can sit there on social media and be pumping your numbers up all day, but really what sells people to me is an engaging live show. So, I felt like putting her, even though she was super nervous, on an Asking Alexandria show and whatnot, a demographic of metalcore, I knew that there would be a lot of young people there that maybe don't really listen to hip-hop, but she's aggressive enough live where I felt like they could become Whitney Payton fans. And sure enough, a couple songs into it, she was crowd surfing, standing and walking on the audience, and all of Livewire was just erupting.
So for any viewers who are interested in getting into the music business aspect and the management aspect of music, what is some crucial advice you want to give them for starting out?
Run for the hills. No. It's just one of those things where you have to understand that you got to find artists that are going to work as hard as you. That's number one. And the second thing I have to say is you got to find artists that have the songs that can reach people in the back of the arena, not just the front. They have to have room to grow. And I don't work with some genres and whatnot because I just don't feel like that type of genre can reach a large, massive amount of people. So I look for mass appeal, I look for the right personality, and I look for the right work ethic. when I'm trying to seek out artists. So those are the things, if you're trying to get into the music business, it makes your job a lot easier because you are only as good of a business person as the product that you're actually selling. It sucks to call the artist a product, but this is the music business and whatnot, and you have to look at it from a statistical standpoint to make sure that who you're working with, that your time is well spent and well invested, because time is money. And yeah, I mean, you can't, waste time with artists who aren't going to work hard and share the same vision you are. When I have someone like Whitney Payton out there, like, I can tell, like, we are on the same wavelength. We're always bouncing ideas off each other. It's all about what is the next step, rather than, me trying to motivate an artist to do this and that and debate them, etc. So it's just key to be in sync, idea-wise and work ethic-wise, before anything else.
Word. And one last question: what's next for Powerline and the KNZ Empire?
Just 2016, just trying to keep all our artists out on the road as much as possible. Like I said, live setting, touring, it's probably the best way to develop. We got a ton of shows coming up in Phoenix. I've noticed that there's a lot more kids that are into hip-hop these days, and seeing things like Yellow Wolf play Self-Help Fest or Whitney play with A Day to Remember. I think young kids are getting more and more into hip-hop as artists like Hoodie Allen, Macklemore, and Wiz Khalifa are on the rise. I really think that kids, it's cool to like rap again. It's cool to like hip-hop, and I just want to keep my finger on the pulse, because that's what we're trying to do here. So.
Well, thank you very much for this interview, Zach, and looking forward to everything Powerline and KNZ has left and up next for 2016. So thank you very much, man.
Thanks, buddy.